And thank you for joining us at Money in Politics 2009, New Horizons for Reform, which is both, we hope, an empirical statement and an aspiration. Thank you for waiting. I like to say I've been waiting at least for 25 years for campaign finance reform, so 5 more minutes with friends and coffee is not too much to wait. But we appreciate your patience. And we have a terrific gathering today that can help mark what we hope is a new moment, new thinking, and a turning point on this critical issue. For those of you who don't know me, I am Michael Waldman. I'm the Executive Director of the Brennan Center for Justice at NYU School of Law. And for those of you who don't know the Brennan Center, we are a law and policy institute that focuses on democracy and justice. We have been deeply involved in issues of campaign finance from the organization's inception, including serving as co-lead counsel in the McConnell versus FEC case before the Supreme Court several years ago. We were founded, as many of you know, by the clerks and family of Justice William Brennan, who we think about especially now as his seat is once again open. And we are guided by his generous spirit, his sense of common human decency, and his notion of a living constitution that applies flexibly and equally to every era in American history. We want to thank, first of all, as we begin today's conversation, the Pew Charitable Trusts, Michael Caudle-Fagan, for making this whole gathering and the research behind it possible. And I want to thank my colleagues from the Brennan Center who did so much work on today and on this issue. Laura McCleary, Zach Pruill, Monica Yoon, and our entire team of our democracy program working on campaign finance reform. What a remarkable moment in the life of our democracy. What an incredible time in all ways, good and bad. This gathering, I would submit, should start with a simple premise, which is that the economic crisis has at its core a political crisis. We see the consequences right now of years of weak participation, of money-dominated politics, of a retreat from the rule of law, all of which created the conditions for collapse. So to meet this challenge, to get out of the mess that the country is in, requires more than discrete policy victories, no matter how vital those are. It requires a fundamental revitalization and reform of government and of politics and democracy itself. And at the heart of that, of course, must be the role of money in politics. President Obama is very fond of quoting President Lincoln, and a wonderful adage that I hope will guide us today as we think about these long-standing issues. Lincoln said that as the occasion is piled high with difficulties, and as our case is new, we must think anew and act anew. And that really should be how we treat this issue today. Let's begin by agreeing that when it comes to campaign finance, it is time to think anew. Remarkable trends are shaking and remaking this issue. We see them all around us. Last year, millions of new donors flooding into the presidential campaign, driven in significant and exciting ways by the internet and new technologies. At the same time, a collapse of the long-standing presidential public financing system and sharp new challenges in courts to the very constitutional and legal doctrines that allow reform. These are the topics of the first 2 panels, to really think anew and to assess really how deep are these changes, how real are they real or are they hype? And then, as Lincoln said, as we think anew, we have to act anew. And again, this is an exciting time for acting anew. We will be hearing about the innovative new models of public financing that are now coming forward, models of public financing that seek to boost the small donor phenomenon through matching funds and other means, and which offer a really tremendous chance to break past the sterile debates that have paralyzed progress on this issue for so long. This new approach that doesn't say that politics needs to be cleaned up as a matter of hygiene, that doesn't try the impossible to get politics out of politics, but that has as its watchword participation, accountability, civic engagement, all the things that are the rays of hope in our country right now and which can be at the heart of a new campaign finance reform. Those are the topics we're going to hear later in the day. And to begin our conversation, we're going to hear from 2 speakers who are knowledgeable, passionate, and real leaders of longstanding in thinking about and understanding the role of money in politics. The first we'll hear from is Congresswoman Chellie Pingree of Maine, and she has to leave early, so we're asking her to go first. Congresswoman Pingree, it is fair to say, has had a greater impact on Congress, where she's been all of 10 minutes, greater impact than many members of Congress have in Congress. She has been the majority leader of the Maine Senate. Then she was national president of Common Cause, the Good Government and Accountability Group, and then last year was elected to Congress. She, in the Maine legislature, in many ways, was the mother of public financing there, and one of the consequences is that the new Speaker of the Maine House of Representatives, I believe the youngest in the country, is her daughter, elected on a clean money model. And then we'll hear from Bob Kaiser. Bob Kaiser is Associate Editor and Senior Correspondent of the Washington Post. He is author of 7 books. The most recent of them, and the most relevant, is So Damn Much Money, The Triumph of Lobbying and the Corrosion of American Government, a remarkable indictment of the system that in so many ways brought the country to its knees, and that we're talking about how we can change. So thank you all for being here. Thank you to our speakers, and let me turn over the microphone.